Good evening, dear students. I hope all of you are doing well. So in this video, I will be dealing with appeals by indigent person and appeals to Supreme Court. So let's just start with our first slide. So first slide talks about appeals by indigent person. Appeals by indigent person has been provided under Order 44 of CPC, while suits by indigent person has been provided under Order 33 of CPC. So you need to read Order 33 before you come to Order 44 because the procedure followed under Order 44 is somewhat similar as has been provided under Order 33. So Order 33 tells you that how to draft an application and what will be the contents of the application, wherein you are seeking permission from the court to allow you to sue as an indigent person. Next, in what cases the application may be allowed, in what cases the application will be denied or revoked after the permission is granted. All these situations are dealt with under Order 33. So you need to read that beforehand. And also, it also prescribes that the court, before granting an application or before granting the permission to sue as an indigent person, the court is going to conduct an inquiry into the means of that particular person in order to find out that whether this person is actually indigent or not. So first of all, let's just discuss who an indigent person is. An indigent person is a poor person who does not have sufficient financial means to actually pay the court fee. So what happens here is, just because the person is poor and is unable to pay court fee should not be a factor which denies him to pursue his right. Therefore the court allows such persons to pursue the proceedings without payment of court fee. So it is not a waiver of court fee as such, but once the proceedings are concluded, once the decree is passed, after that the applicant has to pay the court fee, which was initially from which initially he was exempted. So at a later stage he is going to pay it. So if the applicant, who is indigent person in this case, turns out to be the decree holder at the end of the adjudication, then it is good. Out of the decretal amount, the court fee will be paid. But if he is the judgment debtor, then the court is going to find out other means for the realization of the court fee, which from which he was exempted at the time of filing of the suit. So this procedure of inquiry will be followed at the time of filing of appeal also, which has been dealt with under Order 44. So Order 44 Rule 1 tells you that who may apply as an indigent person or who may appeal as an indigent person. So Rule 1 says that any person who is unable to pay the fee for memorandum of appeal can file an application along with memorandum of appeal before the court, and then the court will look into the application, it will conduct an inquiry, and then subject to the provisions that are available in this slide, that is Order 33 and Order 44, it is either going to allow such application or deny such application. So what is the objective of such provision? The objective is basically to enable the person who, because of his poverty or because of his financial background, is unable to pay the court fee to seek justice, in order to enable him to seek justice. So poverty should not be a ground to deny any person justice, and that is what the objective of these provisions are. So what happens is, in pursuance of these provisions, the person is actually exempted from paying the requisite court fee at the first instance, meaning thereby at the time of filing of the suit, as is provided under Order 33, and at the time of filing of memorandum of appeal, as has been provided under Order 44 of CPC. So basically these provisions enable him to institute suit or prosecute appeal in forma pauperis. That is the whole objective behind these provisions. Now let's just move to the next slide. So the next slide says that what if the application of such person is rejected? What will be the procedure? If the application is rejected, then the court is going to fix a time period within which the applicant has to deposit the requisite court fee, and after that the appeal proceedings will be carried on. Next, Order 44 Rule 3 also says that if the applicant was allowed to sue or appeal as an indigent person by the court from whose decree the present appeal is preferred, meaning thereby that let's say the immediate inferior court is the court which has passed the decree as a court of original jurisdiction against which you have went into appeal, or it may be the first appellate court against whose appellate decree you have went into appeal again. So if that subordinate court has allowed you to pursue the proceedings as an indigent person, and you have not ceased to be an indigent person since the passing of that decree by the subordinate court, then the subsequent court in which your appeal is pending will not conduct a fresh inquiry into your means, provided you also support your application with an affidavit wherein you state that you have not ceased to be an indigent person since the date of decree appealed from. But in these scenarios also, if the government pleader or the respondent disputes the correctness of your statement, then the inquiry will be conducted by the appellate court. Again, if the applicant became indigent after the date of decree appealed from, meaning thereby that when the decree was passed against which you have filed an appeal, if after that you have become an indigent person, then a fresh inquiry will be conducted by the appellate court. Next, what is the time limitation as to filing of such application wherein you seek permission of the court to allow you to sue as an indigent person? So Article 130 of Limitation Act says that an application for leave to appeal as a pauper to High Court has to be filed within 60 days and within 30 days in case of any other court, and this time period will be calculated from the date of decree appealed from. Now moving on to the next slide. Next topic is appeals to Supreme Court. So Article 133 of the Constitution of India clearly lays down that every person has a right to appeal to the Supreme Court from any judgment, decree or final order that has been passed in a civil proceeding. Article 133 of the Constitution provides this. Now if we talk about other relevant provisions, then those are Article 132, 134 capital A of the Constitution, Section 109, 112 and Order 45 of Civil Procedure Code. These are the relevant provisions. These you have to study if you are reading the topic appeals to Supreme Court. So Section 109 clearly lays down just 3 conditions which has to be fulfilled before a person can file an appeal to Supreme Court. First is an appeal to Supreme Court will lie against any judgment, decree or final order that has been passed in a civil proceeding by High Court. Next, the High Court has to certify that the case involves a substantial question of law of general importance, and that in the opinion of High Court has to be or needs to be decided by the Supreme Court. So these 3 conditions are required to be fulfilled in order to file an appeal to the Supreme Court. Next, it says that High Court will not issue any certificate in respect of an interlocutory order. So against an interlocutory order, you cannot appeal to Supreme Court. Next, it says that when we talk about final order, so in order to determine whether an order is actually final or not, you have to see whether the controversy that was raised before the High Court has been finally decided or not. We will discuss about it in the next slide also. Next, coming to Section 112, Section 112 basically says that the provisions for appeal to Supreme Court that are contained in CPC, those provisions are not going to affect Supreme Court's power to entertain appeal which has been provided under Article 136 or any other constitutional provision or any other rules which has been made by Supreme Court in relation to presentation of appeal before it. So Supreme Court can entertain appeal under other provisions also, and the provisions that are contained in CPC are not going to affect such power of Supreme Court. That is what it says. Moving forward. Now Section 109 uses a word civil proceeding. So what do we understand by civil proceeding? In Krishnaswamy versus Council of State, Council of Institute of Chartered Accountants, it was held that a civil proceeding is any proceeding which involves adjudication of right to property or any other civil right. So basically what you have to see is you have to see the nature of right in order to identify whether it is a civil proceeding or not. Example, if there are certain proceedings before tribunals which are in the nature of arbitration, then those are not civil proceedings. If there are certain references to Income Tax Act, or under Sales Tax Act, then in these cases it will not be labeled as civil proceedings. Now when we talk about final order, then in Ramchand versus Govindan Das, Privy Council held that an order is final when it finally disposes of the rights of the parties. So if the order has finally decided the rights of the parties, then it will, and nothing else is left in the suit, then it is considered as final order. As Sir George Lowndes has laid down the test, in which he says that if after the order the suit is still a live suit, meaning thereby if there are certain other issues which are left undecided even after the passing of the order, then such order will not be considered as final, and therefore no appeal is going to lie to Supreme Court under section 109 clause A of CPC. Example, if an order has been passed wherein the court has remanded a suit for decision on merits, then it is not considered as final order. Again, if an order has been passed in appeal against an order appointing a receiver, then it neither falls in the category of judgment or final order, and therefore no appeal will be no appeal can be made to Supreme Court. Now we talk about the limitation period for such leave. Article 133 Clause B of Limitation Act 1963 says that if the High Court has refused the leave to appeal to Supreme Court, then you can file an application for special leave in the Supreme Court itself within 60 days of the order of refusal of the High Court. So 60 days time period is provided after the High Court has refused you to grant the leave to appeal to Supreme Court. Then you can directly apply to the Supreme Court for its special leave within 60 days. Next important element is substantial question of law of general importance, which has been provided under section 109. So as such, this term has not been defined anywhere in CPC. But we can say that if a question not only affects the parties to the litigation but also the general public at large, then we can say that such question is substantial question of law of general importance. And such question needs to be decided by the Supreme Court. So when can we say that there is such necessity? Example, if upon a question there are two views possible and one High Court has taken one view while the other High Court has taken a different view. In that case, we can say that Supreme Court's interference is required in that particular question. Now, what is the procedure? Now, if a person wants to appeal to Supreme Court, then he must apply by petition to the court against whose decree he wants to appeal to the Supreme Court. Now the petition will be disposed of within 60 days of filing of it, and every petition must state that what are the grounds on which the appeal has to be preferred. The petitioner must also pray for a certificate that the Supreme Court must entertain this particular case. Next, the case must involve a substantial question of law of general importance, and last, that in the court's opinion, it needs to be decided by the Supreme Court. So these are certain essential elements of petition that must be contained. After receiving such petition, court is going to serve notice on the opposite party to show cause why such certificate should not be granted. Now, if the certificate is refused, then the appeal shall be dismissed. Next, in order to understand more about appeal to Supreme Court, you also have to refer Article 134 capital A of the Constitution of India, and it also says that against any judgment, decree or final order or sentence passed by the High Court, as has been referred under Article 132 clause 1, 133 clause 1 or 134 clause 1, if High Court deems fit, then either suo motu or on the application of the party, the High Court may immediately after passing of the judgment, decree, final order or sentence may determine whether or not such certificate should be given or not. Now, once the certificate has been granted, what will be the procedure ahead? So, Order 45 Rules 7, 9 and 12 talks about the subsequent procedure. It says that if the certificate has been granted by the court, then the applicant has to furnish such security amount and such other expenses for translation, printing, etc. within the time prescribed by the court. Now, the court has the power to revoke the acceptance of such security also. Now, Rule 8 says that if the court has issued directions regarding furnishing of security and making of deposit has been carried out, then in that case the court will declare that appeal has been admitted and further notice will be given to the respondent and the records of the case will be transmitted to the Supreme Court. Now, another important question arises that if the appeal is pending before the Supreme Court, then does that mean that the decree that has been passed by the subordinate court cannot be executed? So the answer is that during the pendency of appeal to the Supreme Court, the right of decree holder as such is not affected. The decree holder can go and execute the decree that has been passed by the subordinate court in his favor. But the court may, in its discretion, may stay the execution of the decree, and if it is going to stay the execution of the decree, then it will take security from the appellant. But if the court allows the execution of the decree, then it will take the security from the respondent. So we can say that mere filing of appeal in the Supreme Court does not operate as stay of proceedings in the court below. And it has been held in the case also that mere pendency of special leave petition before the Supreme Court cannot be a ground to direct the executing court to stay its hand. So if the appeal is pending, the execution can still be carried on. Moving on to the last slide. Now the last slide talks about execution of order of Supreme Court. Order 44, Rule 15 and 16 are relevant in this slide. So after the Supreme Court has passed an order, the person who is willing to execute such order, he may apply by way of petition along with the copies of such order or decree which he wants to be executed, and he will apply before the court against whose decree he went into appeal to Supreme Court. Now such court will either transfer the records to the trial court, or he may also transfer to such other court which the Supreme Court decides for this particular purpose, and after that such designated court is going to execute the decree or order. It has to be kept in mind that any order which relates to execution is appealable in the same manner as the orders relating to execution of its own decree. So you can very well appeal against such orders of execution. So this is it. In the next video, we will discuss about reference, review and revision. Thank you so much. Thank you, students. Have a great day and stay safe, study well. Thank you.